Losing a child is one of the most painful experiences that a parent could ever endure. Imagine losing 3. Today we have an inspirational story of overcoming, and joining us all the way from South Africa is Suzette Marais. She is the founder of Top Model South Africa. She's a multiple award-winning business owner, an author, a public speaker, and a modeling coach. Suzette, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today. This is such an honor to have you.
Hello, Lorna. Thank you so much. It's a huge honor for me.
Suzette, your modeling career started shortly after you left school. I know you did Miss South Africa, and then you opened your own modeling academy at the age of 25. So tell me a little bit more about that, and how did your life transpire from there?
I've entered Miss South Africa years ago. I was in the semi-finals, and after that, I've just got involved in modeling, and I actually started my first training classes when I was 22, and built it up from there, opening up schools all over South Africa, training models, and that was just my passion and part of it. So until this day, I just love it.
I know that from the modeling, I mean, in those times there, I know you also got married, and then you guys really struggled to fall pregnant, after which you lost twins, right? That was the first loss.
Yes. Yes, I went for IVF. I had very bad, female issues, and went for IVF, was successful until about 6.5 months pregnancy. I was very ill, became very ill, and I was the first woman to had to go, operation in London at the King's College, and it was very traumatic. So I lost the twins, and I nearly lost my life as well.
How did you deal with that loss, and where did you find the courage and the strength to try again? Because I know you guys tried again numerous times until you fell pregnant with triplets again. But how did that loss affect you?
Well, like everything in life, you need to address the issue of the pain. You have to sit in the pain for a moment. People want you to move on, and they tell you you're going to fall pregnant again. They don't know. They're not sure. So sometimes, you listen to people, you get very either discouraged or encouraged. For me, it was I have to find my own path. I went for another IVF, fell pregnant with triplets. I became ill again. I was hospitalized for 2 months. I lost the one actually around 3.5 months. And on month 6, I was hospitalized for 2 months then. And the gynecologist and all the specialists was really worried that we're going to have the first encounter again, that, with the HELP syndrome and that sort of thing. So I was monitored very, very closely. And for me, it was a struggle. I can't lie, to keep yourself focused, and you can't listen to voices, and I just refuse to listen to negative voices, even if it's from the doctors or family. I just decided I'm going to speak life over myself and also over my babies, and yeah, that's what I did.
And obviously you have 2 beautiful twin daughters now. I know from that struggle and that journey, you also had to deal with an alcoholic husband. Do you think the loss of the children had an effect on his alcoholism, or was he struggling with alcohol even before that?
I think it was a problem, in the past, and also not all people react the same in a traumatic incident like mine. So people, deal with the effects differently. I'm not there to judge people. For me, it was my own personal journey, and I've decided I can't stay in a relationship because it's destroying me and my family. So yeah, it's definitely, I think it's definitely a factor, definitely.
And when did you decide enough is enough? Because, you know, a lot of us deal with things, especially in a relationship, in a marriage, and having kids, it's always a lot harder, right? And you had the twins that you fought so long for to have. But when and why did you decide enough is enough?
You need to decide when is enough enough. You can't let people decide for you. And I think for me, I've decided, I'm going to wake up one morning and I will know I need to leave. This is now my sign. And yeah, that's what happened. It was just one evening that I decided enough is enough.
Everybody reaches that point where you have to decide, that deciding factor. And of course, that is not an easy choice to make, because I know from there you left with literally nothing. You lost everything, your home, everything you've ever had, and you left with one suitcase and your two children. And how did that feel? I mean, that must have been a very scary place.
Definitely, it is a scary place. But looking back, if people ask me these questions, I always say it is like everything in life. We have a growing experience. You can either sit in your pain and sit too long, or you have to stand up and you have to move. And for me, it was I have to look after two girls. I had to work extremely hard. It wasn't easy. It wasn't, I always say, nothing is easy in life. That's traumatic. But at the end of the day, you have to look after yourself. So I decided I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make a success. I bought Top Model, came along, and it was a whole new journey. And for me, it was the best decision ever.
Sometimes just when we think everything it can't get any worse, and you know, rock bottom, you have nothing left, and then something new comes along. Because I know you are the founder of Top Model South Africa, and you have literally inspired thousands of models. So from, they say, beauty from ashes, and literally this is literal for you. You have beauty from ashes, because all these beautiful models with inspiring stories. But tell us, just a few of your stories of the models, success stories, let me call it that.
You know what? We have so many of them. If I have to highlight a few, there was one girl, she came for an interview to be an intern for us. And I asked her, I said to her, why don't you enter the competition? And she was laughing. She says, no way, look at me. I have, all these marks and I look so bad and this and that and whole story. And I said to her, listen, I'm telling you, if you sign up and you enter, you will see what's going to happen. It's going to change your life. And she phoned me up the next day. She said, okay, she's going to give it a chance. And Yolanda, really, if you go into the airport, you will see there's ads, everywhere, and Yolanda's on it. And we have so many models that amazing stories. Some of them are still working overseas on international platforms. Others just discovered themselves, want to create business out of it. So it's actually amazing. There's not one story, there's hundreds of stories. So it's actually so amazing just to think about what we do.
And how does that make you feel, knowing that you are a part of something so great, inspiring young, well, let's say young adults and even teenagers, right? To trying something new in a modeling world, and then from that point have their whole lives transpire into a whole new direction because of something that you started literally from a place of ashes. It must be quite nice to know that you have a part in that.
Yes, I think it's very rewarding. But at the end of the day, I don't want to take, all the credit for myself. I always say it's grace and it is wisdom that God was giving it to me, and it's little seeds that we plant into people's lives.
I think people look at models a lot of time and it might seem very plastic from the outside, but it's actually amazing. I mean, I did modeling at a much later age in my life, and I was surprised about the like-minded and powerful women coming together. Of course, you have the little bit of backstabbing and gossiping and all that. I mean, you'll have that no matter where you go in life. But in general, it was profound to see what an incredible group of people, they all come together in one platform, and how their lives transpire from that. They call it a platform for a reason, right?
Yes, yes. And we do the training once a year, and we have workshops with about 200 models. We have 5,000 guests attending the show. And it's amazing to see the models enter, and they like, apprehensive what's going to happen. And then when we start the process with them, we teach them so many things, and we get amazing educators that's also on board. And at the end of the day, after the 3 months journey, they are like, oh my gosh, we don't want to leave. Can we enter again for next year?
Oh, what
And
a
that is
testament. That's amazing.
yeah, and they became friends, and they like really supportive of each other. And we also do not tolerate them to be nasty. We don't tolerate them to bully each other. We don't believe in that. And we will disqualify them if we see there's a problem, and we will address the problem.
I like that. Yeah, almost like a training school, like a life coaching, like a life coaching boot camp. It seems like this is something that's really much needed in schools. I often look at what kids are learning in school now, and I kind of feel that the values and the confidence that kids can learn through modeling is something that we can really impart into schools, like a life coaching program that is compulsory, because it seems like not a lot of kids are getting this from home, and it's essential in the workplace in being an adult.
We can't go without it. So you need to be skilled. So we teach them, not only from social media, but what you must, how you must dress for an interview, what you should say, your CV, everything. So it's actually such an amazing point to have. We have to start at the schools, and we have to implement that into the schools for sure.
And Suzette, I know you got married again. You have a beautiful love story, and that's always nice to know that there is hope on the horizon after such heartbreak and such pain that you've endured. How did you meet your husband, and how did that love story transpire?
That was also through a meeting, and we just connected. And I think it was the right place, right plan, right man. And for me, that is essential. Somebody that was looking after my heart, protecting my whole being. I was not in a good place at first, but the whole journey was just amazing. So I'm very thankful for that.
Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to allow us to make more episodes and be inspired and empowered by incredible people.
I was sitting at a meeting, so we were in one room, and we just became friends. And out of that friendship, it evolves into something else.
That's so powerful, because I think that's important value. There is a lot of time, in the films we see a total different story. It's girl meets boy, there's this electricity, they come together, sparks fly, and you see all kinds of unnatural things happen that really is not, it's not feasible in real life. And I love hearing stories like that, because a friendship is really a much better platform to build a marriage and a life on, because it's a lifelong partnership. It's not a spark that's always going to be there. So
Now, I'm very thankful, and I also think, when you're older, you have more wisdom, so you view certain things much differently.
what do you think you view differently now to when you were about 25 and getting married and starting your modeling schools? How has your views changed of life and relationships?
I think loyalty and integrity, and your word, your word, your honor.
Recently, you had a really big scare with your heart as well. Tell us a little bit more about that and how that transpired.
The first time I had an incident was when I went to London, and I lost the babies with the HELP syndrome. I had a near-death experience. I was busy dying for 2.5 hours. My heart stopped for 5 seconds. So when I came back, I was very ill. Through all the years, life went on and that sort of thing. And about 2 years ago, I started to just not feel myself, and it was always something. And every time when I go and see a doctor, they say, no, it's because of the past incident years ago of the HELP syndrome and the damage regarding that. So one evening I wasn't feeling well and I collapsed, and my family took me to the ER rooms and they said to me, I have a virus. And 8 hours later, gave me a drip and fluids. And about 6 months later, in the winter time, I collapsed again. I felt very ill. Nobody was actually with me, and I woke up in the bathroom on the cold tiles. And I phoned my family and said something is wrong. I don't know how long I was out, but I have to go to the hospital. I had a stroke when I was 30 with my second babies, so I wasn't sure if it's something like that or a blood clot or whatever. And went to the hospital, another hospital. Same thing. Doctor said to me, everything is fine. Vitals, everything, blood works, EKG. It's a virus. So the same story. 7 to 9 hours on a drip, fluids, went home, and continue like that. So in my spirit I felt something was wrong, and I just also didn't feel well. So I went to this amazing cardiologist, and he said to me, listen, let's plant in a little loop recorder, which is the same size as about your pinky. And he said to me, on top of it's just under the skin, so they insert it there, and it will record your heart for 24 hours every day, and you have an app on your phone. So when something is wrong, they will be informed, but if something is wrong, I can also press the app that I'm not feeling well. I had the loop recorder in for 10 days, and I was busy with training and coaching for other competition, international competition. And the one evening after dinner, I just said to my husband, I'm not feeling well. After 12 o'clock, about 12:15, I went to the bathroom just to, get cold air on my face and water on my face and just breathe a little bit. And I just realized death is in this room. I felt to my spirit, death is in this room. And I felt very, very bad. I was very ill. So I tried to run back to my husband. And when I got to the bed, I just collapsed. I just said help, and I collapsed. And luckily and fortunate for me was there, because he's normally, somewhere or overseas or working or downstairs or whatever. And he was with me and he revived me. So that was the Friday morning. And the Monday, I know my cardiologist was overseas in Istanbul. So the Monday morning, I thought maybe I'll phone them and see if there's something they picked up on recording. As I was thinking that, they phoned me and they said to me, Mrs. Marais, you need to come in urgently. And I was on my way to meetings. I've actually sat in meetings for 3-4 hours, and went to the doctor, and he said to me, you're so lucky that you're here. Your heart flatlined. You had a cardiac arrest. And he said to me, I don't know what happened, that you're back, but welcome back. We're going to do a pacemaker, operation tomorrow. We're going to do a few tests and angiogram and see what's happening. So my husband, obviously, God saved me and my husband, and it was also the right place, right plan, and the right man. So I call him my lifesaver, and he saved me. And I was very ill. For about 4 months, I was in bed with a sling, frozen shoulder, and I also had to get my head to a safe space, because every time you stand up or you feel something, you think by yourself, oh my gosh, is this now again? Am I going to die now? So you have to program your mind actually every day that not every pain that you get is now a sudden cardiac arrest. And so for me, it's very important. I'm a spokesperson now for CPR. I believe, if I speak to people, they think heart attacks and cardiac arrest is the same thing. It's not. It's very, very important to know the difference. It's also very important to know how to apply CPR. So if I ask people, they're like, no, we can't. I was actually in a gym 2 days ago, and I was starting, with a cardio program the past 2 months. And I asked the owners of the gym, I said to him, can you perform CPR? And he was like, no. And I'm like, so what are you going to do if somebody's now having a heart attack or a stroke? He's like, oh my gosh, we never thought about something like that. And I said to him that
Another essential thing to implement in schools and workplaces.
absolutely, yes, yes. And so he came to me afterwards and he said to me, "Thank you so much for sharing your story because we never thought about it. We have people here of all ages, and as we, were discussing this whole issue, a man came in and he's about 77 years old, climbing on a treadmill and giving his best on a treadmill." And I said to him, "You see what I'm saying? You can't predict what's going to happen. We all believe that we're fine, but you can't just, have this tunnel vision. No, nothing is going to happen to me or my family because you can't say. But you have to be prepared. If somebody is going to have a matter or issue next to you, that you know how to perform CPR."
And that small thing can literally save a life, right? I mean, that is so important.
Yes.
Suzette, you've had a lot of great losses, and you've had a long journey of a lot of suffering, a lot of unknown, moving in this world of unknown. Like, I don't know if I'm going to make it, and all these things. What would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned from this journey that you've been on?
I think the past 9 months for me was a journey that was totally different to the rest of the journeys. It was a journey that you have a rebirth on life. I was also always, very, after my near-death experience, I was very sensitive to smell and clouds and flowers and everything. It's now intense. So I can walk into a room and it's like, I can't even describe it. It's like blue is not just blue. It's like super blue.
It's like a gratitude for life, right?
It's absolutely amazing. Just the value of one. You just realize the value of one more minute, one more week, one more day, another smile, another moment of your child. I always say if we take images, it's not just the image. It's a moment. It's a moment that you have now. And I had to realize that I need to face everything of the past. I lost my dad. I lost my 4 best friends in 20 months. I think my heart was a little bit broken as well. And they actually thought I had broken heart syndrome, which is also an effect on your heart. And I discovered that this is my journey. I need to heal and I need to be kind to myself. Sometimes I don't understand how I feel. It's a day by day process to tell myself, you have a pacemaker, you are fine, you're on God's hands, you can't predict the future. I'm not in control every day because I don't know what's going to happen, but I can try and control my emotions to say, don't freak out, face your emotions, to stand up and look at your situation and see how can you improve. How can you improve your well-being? How can you improve to sleep better, to think better, to journal, to get yourself through this process? And I think that is very important.
I like that. I like the self-talk because, sometimes you would think someone who talks to themselves would be classified as that's not normal. A little bit of a mental health issue there. But in actual fact, that is a very, very powerful and necessary thing that our mind actually speaks very loud in our heads, even though you can't hear it with your ears, but it's in your mind. And sometimes you do need to open your mouth and speak back and say, no, I am alive. I am going to be fine, no matter what's going on in my mind, because you can choose, right, to hold on to what's in your mind, those thoughts of fear and anxiety, or to speak life over your life. It's wonderful when we can use our own journeys and create something that can impact, someone else's world. Suzette, I know you have the opulent models that you're doing now, and I know that this is actually modeling for adults as well. And if we look at modeling, it's not only skinny, tall people, because I know you missed out on a lot of contracts because you were just that little bit too short, right?
That's right. That's right. It's changed a lot over the years because the commercial models are now more a little bit voluptuous. Fitness models are huge. It's a huge industry now. So a lot changed, and also mature models. So we can still get work, and I think
good to know, right? I look at May Musk. I mean, she's on the cover of the swimsuit magazine at the age of 70. That is so inspirational. So that really opened a lot of doors.
it's amazing.
older
It's
models.
amazing because I think also remember the perception in the past, as you say, it's like, you have to be perfect, skinny, the whole thing. Now it's like you're actually surprised if you see who ends up on covers now and who ends up, getting huge deals and magazine, you know, at television interviews, television shows, whatever. So the models are now taking the industry on film, magazines, television shows, presenting. It's amazing, and you don't have to be 18. You can be 48 to enter our competition, and it's stunning.
That's wonderful. I feel like we've come a long way. Women have fought for this, for being authentic, for taking us as we are, for not portraying this skinny, thin, young person all the time, because no one can live up to that. And this is so encouraging. This is beautiful to see that we've come so far.
Lots of, mindsets changed about that, which is a good thing. And I think going forward, it's going to be a game changer.
For sure, for sure. Suzette, last thought of wisdom and inspiration for parents out there dealing with the loss of children, especially unborn, because this is your journey. What advice would you give to those parents?
Be kind to yourself, give yourself some time. And also for me, I wrote two books during the COVID pandemic. And I mentioned in the book that, if you feel that journaling or poetry, for me it's poetry, that's really soothing to my soul. So you have to find your path. There's no right recipe for healing. There's your recipe for healing. So I always say sit with the right mentors and people that's been through pain, trauma, and read on, up on that, and listen to amazing positive, confirmations, and speak life over a dead situation. Even if the doctor, in my situation, doctors were saying really, not encouraging stuff all the time. And I had to make a decision to say, I'm not going to listen to it. I'm going to speak life, over my soul, over my whole journey, and also to give yourself time. And for couples, it's a different journey. A man and a woman, they can't really, they go through it at the same time, but it's a different process. For the women, it's like, it's a failure for them. So they need to look after themselves, give themselves time, not to say I'm going to start next month again. Give your body some time, give your well-being some time, and just take time out and rest. Let your body rest for a while. Let your mind rest for a while, until you also one day you'll know this is now the right time. I'll try again. And if you have to try 2, 3, 4, 5 times, that's okay. That's fine. And just stay positive.
Great advice. Thank you. All right. Thank you for joining us today, Suzette. You were absolutely amazing. And that is it from us here at Woman Power TV. If you would like to know more about Suzette and opulent models, take a look on the screen. If you would like to order her books, the details will also be on the screen. Check out her website. And please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. If you want to have a look at some of our previous shows, they are on there. Share them with your friends and help us to make more episodes. Until next week, goodbye.